I'm so passionate about so many different things, even outside of music. But as long as you feel that you can have the focus and attention and intention that every individual piece deserves.
Miley Cyrus, hello.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's so nice to meet you.
Thank you as well.
It's so good to have you back with new music, a new film on Hulu and Disney Plus. Thank you so much for sharing some of your time with us. And
thank you.
filling us in on all the fun things. You're doing so much right now. What is it you're having the most fun with, though?
You know what? I really am very selective about what I choose to do and be a part of. And so everything that I'm doing is honestly filled with a lot of meaning and joy. And I always think something has to either be really joyful, it has to be fun, it has to be something that I look forward to, or it has to be something that's meaningful. That might be something that's, whether it's a full circle moment, something that's come to fruition from manifestation. So I kind of balance those. And then again, this project has really been this love child for me. And so at sometimes there's certain things that I do that are just to maintain and feed the baby.
That's right. And the baby's almost here.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is the big day. It's released on Hulu and Disney Plus. Wow. I mean, what are the feelings before that? It's like Christmas Eve.
Exactly. And with Disney Plus, it was actually the ultimate home for me, and having it on Hulu. I mean, I'm like everybody else where I love watching new shows, new content, getting invested in characters, but rarely is there something like this where it was very important to me that this wasn't characterized. Even though there's an identity of kind of fantasy or persona, it's still personal, which doesn't always happen when we're streaming TV shows or, movies. And music is, something that's, again, I think it's kind of meant to be more than just heard. I think all of us emotionally, we feel so much when we're listening to songs, but some of us also do create visuals in our mind. I think there's certain songs that take you back to certain times or memories or nostalgia or places or somewhere you could dream of listening to it. And so I think music itself is very visual.
Absolutely. And I'm so excited for everyone to see this. How is that storyboarded from, is it almost like you're doing individual music videos that you put together, or how is the through line for all of it?
Well, we created a map of how we were going to get from every end being a new beginning, which is again kind of symbolic of what the film is really kind of meant to kind of embody anyway, is that when something is over, it's kind of just begun. And when something is, could be devastating, you never know what blessing could come from that loss, what gain you're going to have. And so, yes, everything was meant to be individualized and kind of isolated just to make sure every song was really honored. And not, for me, I didn't want to be thinking about the next one. Actually, one time I was doing a show and me and Joan Jett were both playing the show, and I was shooting a music video at the same time for another song, and she said, you never do something like that because you're taking away from the audience by not being in the moment with the one song that you're in now. And I always took that as something that I think anything goes for everything. So when I was making this movie, I kept thinking I don't want to think about the next song while I'm in with the song before it. I wanted to really honor each song for what it was meant to be, and then get clever at the end of how we were going to connect everything. Interesting.
Do you feel that way about making music too? Because you would work on other projects during another project, right?
Well, another person that does that really genius is Pharrell. And one time I had a session with him, and he was doing, 10 things at the same day, but not at the same time. He had a hot sauce. He was making sneakers.
Wait, what?
He had 2 other artists in another studio. And he said, I could tell you looked like I wasn't going to be able to focus on you, but whatever I'm doing in that moment is all that I'm doing. So I may today have 10 things, my hands in 10 different pots, but I'm only cooking with one item at a time. And so now I've learned you can do, I like to do a lot, and I like to be, invested in different projects. And I'm so passionate about so many different things, even outside of music. But as long as you feel that you can have the focus and attention and intention that every individual piece deserves.
Compartmentalizing it a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that. Well, congrats on Something Beautiful, officially the music side of it as well with the album.
Thank you.
What do we need to know from Endless Summer Vacation to Something Beautiful and that bridge between both of them?
Well, they're actually so uniquely different, and I think that's because they're at such different kind of pivotal places in my life and can't have one without the other. ESV was totally a bridge to Something Beautiful, but ESV was kind of curated and created to be something that I could do and kind of almost have the whole project from at a distance because I needed that vacation so deeply and desperately that I wanted to still put out the album that I made, but I wasn't actually going to kind of physically go out there and, as we spoke about today, kind of carry around this project and do all the things that it takes. And luckily, Flowers was the gift that did all the work for me. I had already known I wanted an ESV, but Flowers really made it possible that it could carry the album around the world, so I didn't have to. And with this one, I'm invested in a more kind of personal way of actually going out and sitting at stations and pressing play and seeing the audience and doing shows and, you know, just kind of investing in what it takes to really, I think, kind of convey the truth that this is totally a body of work that is just totally built on love and devotion, dedication and passion. And really, it does feel like it's one of the more purposeful records that I've ever gotten to make.
Yeah. With it being so purposeful, does it also feel like the most experimental album?
You know, Dead Pets, I was totally off leash. So that was more experimental because I knew with Dead Pets I was going to make it for free. And I never wanted to sell the record. I wanted it to be a gift to my fans. And for this record, because I have gone all in on every bit of the creation and curation, for this one, it felt like it had more pressure than Dead Pets. So I experimented, but I gave, I think, each song, someone said to me once, you need bumpers, not a bridle. And that always helped me so much, meaning I kind of need to know what my lanes are and how I can stay in between those lines. But I never like feeling like creatively I'm kind of being held back or being restrained from something that could go deeper. And so every song, whether that was with our inspiration and kind of reference or, you know, kind of sonic ideas or lyrics, they always created a really great structural playground for us to have fun in between those lines.
Wow. Yeah. How would you describe like the sound of this album?
You know, I think the title in itself, that it's really everything that we created. It had to be from a foundation of beauty and what beauty can mean kind of individually to all of us. It could be, again, because music carries so much memory, it could be a range of a spectrum of all the emotions that we feel. So I would say that it really is, to me, everything was dedicated to being something beautiful.
I love that. Working on something beautiful during ESV. Are you always like that? Like you're always working? And is that the case like now?
Someone mentioned to me the other day that they think it's a sign of deflection. And I said no, but now I'm like, maybe, because you really, it's nice to be, I think sometimes it's loving to kind of detach your own expectation from the project itself, because again, if you think of pressure, it just creates a lot of weight, and I feel like this project is really meant to fly. And so by putting my ideas or again the expectation on it, it actually kind of makes it heavy. And I think by starting other projects and kind of having somewhere else to put that nervous energy, to put it into more creation, I think it actually is the most loving thing to do. And I don't know if you talk about yourself very often on your show, but you were talking about kind of like sport and athleticism before we started. And that's obviously, I mean, for me, that's like a total pillar, a structural pillar within my life of creativity. And ESV, I mean, pretty much at that time when I was creating In the Summer Vacation, the thing that was giving me my most life and my most joy was my practices and my sports. So whatever that might look like, whether at that time it was climbing, Viper training, like some military work, because I feel like in my life, you know, parts of my job, it has been in some ways somewhat militant, always been on a schedule. I've always, and so I never defined it as an athlete. I never defined it as athleticism until ESV, until finding that outlet of sport and showing artistry and athleticism and harmony together. And so with Something Beautiful, that's been something that, again, by thinking about my next record, it's these now sport and athleticism and personal care and like this kind of physicality, because music, again, it's something that it's really hard to create because it's nothing that you can kind of see or feel to manipulate. You're only doing it on this kind of invisible frequency of what your heart is telling you, what the emotions are. And I think also by writing lyrics, that's a very heady thing to do. You're a lot up in your, you know, in your mind. And I think artists in general, we spend a lot of time in our head. And so having a place to put that, to put the fire, because then when I put it into my sport, then it doesn't come into my art. And, you know, I think when it comes to art, being a competition, like with the Grammys or with numbers or charts. I think that's just so much better spent in sport. I think competition is really fun and exciting when it comes to watching a sport, but I think in music, it can work as a driver, but I've never found it to be super helpful.
Yeah. Gosh, it's so interesting to hear about that. And I want to follow up on the songwriting, but what is Viper training? I never heard of that.
Oh, well, it's my favorite. It's all different weights, and it's all kind of off balance, and it's really functional, full body. And what I love about it is you can do kind of a range of anything. It could be as functional and kind of imitate day-to-day movement. I mean, I would say invest in a Viper because it's one of my favorite trainings. Wow. And you could make it super primal. You could make it, I mean, I even do like Tai Chi with it when I think about, because I like to move energy around and stuff, but I'm also a pretty, I'm an extreme and very intense person. So adding
like
that,
real Vipers or something, I was like, dang.
Adding that weight into the Tai Chi, I think it helps me feel like, you know, I can do my deep breathing, I can get grounded, move the energy around, but I also need to be challenged. But again, I just think that to create, you know, songs as a sport, which is kind of in essence what the radio really is, or you're looking at things as being numbered, and I do think having a scoreboard in sport is important, but I don't think in music it's ultimately very creatively helpful.
I tell my boss that.
Yeah,
ratings are not that important. You know,
yeah,
put
exactly. Hello. No one likes
stressful.
the rating conversation, because I'd always rather one person say that it meant something to them than thousands of people that are just kind of half-mindedly paying attention. But that's just me.
You've always made it a point to put emphasis on the songwriting, obviously. Do you remember like the first song you ever wrote?
Yes, it was called Evil Mother in the Dead of the Night, and it was about my mom spending way too long at the mall and taking my cell phone away for talking back to her. And actually, we were doing a little interview back home. We were going through my childhood house, and on camera going, oh, this was our living room, and da-da-da-da. And she goes, oh, and this is where Miley kept all her songwriting notebooks. And she happened to open the one and turn to the page of Evil Mother in the Dead of the Night. Wow. So that was one of my first songs I ever wrote. And then another one, Pink isn't a color, it's an attitude. Yeah.
That has staying power. Like, that holds up to we're all snapping.
Yeah.
What was the age for the Evil Mother song? How old were you?
I believe I was still, this is when my mom could still drag me to the mall. So I'm guessing maybe I wasn't in school yet if I could be spending like 6 or 7 hours. So this is probably kindergarten, maybe a little earlier. And then I revisit it in about 3rd grade once I got some real,
Part 2?
It got more in depth, the song, you could say. It got more detailed. It was about, you know, trying to buy dignity at BB. But I was born with that. So it was the whole song was about you wouldn't need to spend so many hours at the mall if you felt fulfilled. This was from my 3rd grade mind. So my mom was very offended when she saw that on camera with like Barbara Walters at the house.
Oh my goodness.
She was like, Miley's just joking. She didn't, I never took her to the mall for 8 hours and let her skip school.
It's like caught in 4K. There's like no way to promise I'm a good mom. It's not.
I realized that moment I've been writing the same song since I was 5.
Well, you know,
it's
there's a lot
about
of truth
dignity
in those.
and pride and blah, 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 and being who you are and authenticity and all the things.
That's how you know you're who you are. You know who you are. Do you have an appreciation for those early songs, like even a little later on, like The Climb and all these ones that everyone loves so much? And
definitely.
What's the relationship with like that early music?
I think they're just, you know, they're a complete portal into all the projects that I'll make in the future. It's, you know, by having them, they've really opened up all the doors, this kind of like infinite opportunity. And again, I think it's really about what you kind of do with it, and do you hold yourself to the standard of songs from the past? So even though I can kind of honor and respect each song, not using them as kind of the bar to set for myself, because those are some really high expectations. And I've gotten a couple once in a lifetime songs multiple times in this lifetime. So I don't know when it caps, but you know, I don't even use myself as a standard.
Yeah. And what do you think? What goes to your mind when you hear those songs? Because I mean, everyone has different memories around them. Yeah, a lot of like The Climb is like core memories for us. But what do you have in your mind?
Well, for me, when I think about The Climb, I've done it in so many different, you know, impactful and important settings. I did the kids ball at the Obama inauguration. I've sang it for different marches, women's rights movements, LGBTQ rallies. And so I really always just think about kind of, I think you know, because I was so young when I did the song, it didn't have kind of the weight of politics behind it. It was really from a kid's perspective of kind of how the world should be, which I think usually kids have a way better idea than adults of how it should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we had an 8-year-old running the world, everything would probably just be like, we wouldn't be talking about some of the things we're talking about right now. The expectations. I love the way that even I think it's why people kind of mark my career as authentic, but I don't know if it was authentic or if it was just because I was so young that I don't know any different to be honest or to have those expectations. It's only in our adulthood do we kind of get trained and alter ourselves for success or bosses or whatever it is.
Yeah. Some places do that. They like put a dog up for mayor and things go well.
My dog could run this town. I'm telling you right now. Yes,
bring him in.
The golden retriever. I mean, that is like the ultimate kind of mayor dog.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So tours, like a no-go. We talked about how it's not really like on your mind right now in terms of like you're not enjoying it. You kind of feel like removed a little bit.
And again, it kind of has to have joy and meaning for me. And I think it's meaningful for the audience, but not as meaningful for me. And so Something Beautiful was a way that I could kind of creatively find a way that I could perform these songs, feel like you're almost getting a front row ticket by watching the show on your TV. You're getting a performance right here. And what I've loved about it too is I've always said I've never been to my own concert. This is the closest I've ever been. I felt like watching the show in theaters, I really got to almost see myself in a way I've never seen myself before. So it's been a cool experience.
I love that. Is there any part of you that misses it and almost like tries to think of a way that you can have that happy medium where maybe some of those heavy parts of it aren't there?
I like traveling a lot. So I do miss, waking up in new places. But as I've gotten kind of, older and more ritualistic and more routine, it's become more of a struggle for me to kind of find that structure that gives me so much balance and peace in my time. So I think there would have to kind of be a way, which I don't think structurally anything is set up to really help artists succeed to balance both of those things. So hopefully at one point by resisting, I can actually be someone that kind of changes the future of what touring looks like, because we have to sustain, like an athlete. When you see athletes, I always think about boxers. They've got the coach on the side handing them waters and wiping their sweat for them. And if you do that as an artist, especially as a female, you get written as a diva. And there's nothing diva about being well maintained and cared for. And so I think as long as they can come up with a way that everyone feels like, the music industry is still a business, but you're doing it in a way that protects and sustains your artist. That just has to be a bottom line.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I give someone like Olivia Rodrigo so much credit, because she's doing the whole therapy for all her bandmates and crew and everything. And it's like so admirable. Not that she should be doing that herself by any means, but like what a good step.
That should be a thing, because also all of us are having lives when you're out on the road. You lose people that you love. We've done shows when I've gone through breakups or, so many things that are happening in your real life, and you've got to put a pin in it because the show must go on. And I do think that there's something to the kind of next generation. They don't do that so much. They kind of wear their heart on their sleeve a little bit more.
Yeah. Does the intimate performances kind of scratch that itch though of like being out on the road? I see like once a month you're somewhere performing. I'm like, oh my God, how do I get there? But
especially if I can travel. Like we just did one in France, and that was really a kind of cool experience. I love when I go to other parts of the world and I feel connected, to people in that way. But yes, it does it enough. But like anything, I'm also someone that likes to kind of, take new steps and do something that makes me uncomfortable, and I'm getting pretty comfortable in it. So I'm looking for something that could expand farther outside of that, but still maintains the integrity that goes into those shows.
Amazing. Well, you are a Disney legend.
Thank you.
We see it's a fact.
That's
I think
fact.
You have a badge or something that
do.
says that.
Yeah.
And we see characters like Alex Russo revived, for Wizards Beyond Waverly Place. For the adult version of that with Hannah Montana and Miley, like what would that look like?
Well, now in RuPaul Drag Race culture, I feel like we can lean in a little bit more to the fact that Hannah Montana is a drag queen.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm
I feel
all for
like
that.
she needs to be like death dropping. She needs to be lip syncing for her life. All of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah. I'm the judge.
But I can see
but
it.
yes.
Yeah. All right. So your favorite song right now, obviously that'll change as it goes, but your favorite song right now on Something Beautiful.
Oh, my favorite song right now. I'm going to say Walk of Fame because it happened to just serendipitously align. I was not aware that I was getting the star on the Walk of Fame.
Yeah.
And it happened the day before. I found out the day before that everyone else found out. So they just casually sent a text saying that you're getting the star, and I did not know. So it was a surprise, which just also magically kind of worked out that the song was releasing a week later. So that was actually magic. I wish that there was some sort of, marketing madness over here that we just coordinated this seamlessly, but that was
Something beautiful.
God is a gay man.
Perfect.
I always believe it. In moments like that, I'm like, I told you. That's why I've done so much for the gay community, because God's gay.
Wow. I just thought you were teeing that up for something beautiful. I wasn't expecting that bad.
No, I know Ariana thinks it's a woman, but I think it's a gay man, okay? If you don't believe me, look at the height on his
anybody
hair.
else. Yeah,
okay?
Exactly. I mean, congrats, by the way,
Thank
on that.
you.
That's so cool. Just like being around it so much in LA, and the Walk of Fame is such a big thing. What are some memories around the Walk of Fame for you?
Definitely coming out to LA when I was younger and staying at a hotel on Hollywood Boulevard. I think it's where it all shifted for me. I definitely was there and said, this is somewhere that I want to be in my future. And my dad would take me at night when he wouldn't get recognized to go and walk up and look at all the names, and we would go into the souvenir shop. So it really has like a kind of heart first emotional attachment. Like a lot of people that come out from places like Nashville, Tennessee, it's like it's somewhere you can't even believe. You know, you see all the lights and the names and the theater, and it's just mind-blowingly glamorous and definitely exciting and enticing, and makes you want to be a part of it.
Of course. And being famous for so long, does that, like, where does that square up on the, not achievements, but, you know, like really cool things that have happened? Grammy, Walk of Fame, where's it at?
Oh, the Walk of Fame is definitely in a top tier, just because, again, it's an emotional. I like that it's not a physical achievement also. It's not something that you just kind of like take home for yourself.
Yeah.
It's something that's shared. It's communal. And because music and, you know, today in general, kind of the way we consume is very isolated, and it's not as communal as it once was, going to a record store, buying the CDs, calling a radio station, requesting a song. There is something kind of very one of about it. And so I like the idea that it's going to be something that thousands of people are going to spit their gum on every day. Can't wait.
You were rolling around on it, which
yeah,
is great.
I know. I regret it. Yeah.
And you're the first person, born in the 90s to get one?
That's
Isn't
what
that
they
insane?
said. I mean, I think Timothy is getting one, so maybe we're tied. But I know I'm a little more mature. Women don't say older.
No.
More mature.
You were announced
than
first, so
Timothy.
technically
Yeah.
you were the first.
That's right.
I love that. Well,
I was born first. Don't
Yeah.
forget it.
So we'll take
Timothy. You only want to be born first in moments like this.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the only time it's useful. Walk
Yeah.
of Fame. We'll take it. Well, it's so fun getting to hear about all the good things that are going on in your life. Congrats on something
Thank you.
beautiful. Can't wait for everyone to see it. It's out tomorrow. By the time you see this, it'll be out. Any last message for your fans that are, so excited to see more from Miley?
Just excited and full of gratitude that they get to finally kind of have this in their own home to digest in their own way and live with it and rewind it and sing along and all the things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Enjoy that video. See more interviews, performances, and more of your favorite artists by subscribing and downloading the free Audacy app.